Steffi's already, yeah. Steffi, such a great thank you. You're unbelievable, and I hope to do a good job, although I'm very emotional after everything you said. Thank you so much for giving us talking. We just listened to Raphael and the future, and I think quantum is a superb example of what can lead us in the future and what we can do. And this year is a landmark. It's a milestone year. It's the 20th anniversary of DLD. I'm very proud. I think I've been at every single one that Steffi has done. But it's also the United Nations International Year of Quantum Science and Technology. The reason is that we celebrate a total century since the birth of quantum mechanics. But at the same time, this is meant to highlight how quantum technology will be able to help us to tackle some of the world's toughest challenges we had. We already heard about climate, we have healthcare, energy, we have so many issues, then to even more profound things like finance and logistics, where quantum technology might be able to help. But if I say might, the big question obviously is, how do we bridge from business to the industry? How do we bridge, from the lab to the industry? And as Steffi said, we have two leading experts here from our great Munich ecosystem in quantum. Now, when I discussed with someone before that I'm going to comment on, or I'm going to moderate something on quantum, he obviously said, so the toughest question obviously is of what just happened, that 6 years ago, close to 6 years ago, Google proved, claimed they had shown a quantum supremacy, that their Sycamore processor had achieved it, and that now for the first time, a quantum computer could outperform traditional supercomputers in certain areas. Now that sent a huge wave of enthusiasm, and now some 10 days ago, we had the CEO of NVIDIA who said, wait, this will take another 20 years because there's some technological challenges still, and that sent shock waves through the public markets, obviously, with the sign. So now that I have the two of you here, the very, very obvious question is, how do we rate that statement? Others have come out too, to say that they're where we stand now. Are we any closer, to quantum really solving some issues? And do you see any impact in something like a foreseeable future? Maybe, Dieter, if, you as the head. Thank you, great to have you here. You could start, and sure. I think we're eager to hear what the two of you think about that dilemma.
Good morning. I hope the microphone works. Yes. First of all, if NVIDIA is able to predict the future, maybe their AI is more powerful than we thought. Jokes aside, I think what we should not forget with this statement, Mr. Wang did not question the potential of quantum computing. In contrast, I think he's quite sure of what quantum is able to do. The other thing is that, of course, NVIDIA is still working hard on a programming environment for quantum. And if it takes that long, it's a question why they're investing that much. And of course, if it all fits together, we have quantum really at the point where we are seeing all this progress. What is Mr. Wang talking about? Is he talking about a quantum personal computer? Then maybe it's 30 years. But we are doing something completely different here. We're trying to make a different approach, and I'm confident we can do it in much less time. Alex?
Yeah, I totally agree. Explicitly, he said a very useful quantum computer. So there is a huge range of what he could mean. And I appreciate his comments. So I think he's right in pointing out that building a quantum computer is a mission to Mars. It takes not 3 years, it takes a longer time. This is also very important to understand for public funding and for the industry. However, I'm definitely more optimistic when we will see first application. And what makes me so optimistic is really, if you look into the past, this really accelerated number of breakthroughs, in particular in the last years. Several companies, including us, kind of made it through the 1,000 qubit barrier, showing that we can scale quantum computer to a decent size. We had remarkable breakthroughs in terms of error correction at the beginning of the years, which were even doubled at the end of the year. So for me, the feeling is everything is really accelerated, and the time between those breakthroughs really becomes smaller and smaller. And this makes me very optimistic that by probably till the end of that decade, we will have first useful applications.
I was just looking with my eyes for Raphael, because Laguna, because this is optimism here. And to go from the optimistic side to the practical side, Dieter, as was mentioned, you're heading the Leibniz Supercomputing Center. That is in the world a really early move of integrating quantum technologies into high-performing infrastructure. Could you perhaps give us some background here? Why you started, how that is working.
Well, the task from the Leibniz Supercomputing Center is to support science and research with the latest technologies. We have a program on future computing supported by the state of Bavaria, and we are investing not only in quantum, but in many future technologies, like also photonic or AI, super chips, and these kinds of things. So quantum is a natural move for us. The scientists demand more computational power. We need to stay ahead of the curve and make sure that we kind of provide this computational power to science and engineering, and that's why quantum is for us a natural choice. And I should also admit I find the topic very exciting, and that's why another reason why we are doing it.
Yeah. No, but we're going to come to that. I mean, you're really establishing Munich as a really leading hub here with what you're doing. Yeah, but if we look talking about Munich and coming to the question with Europe, very recently, again, it was Google who made headline news not only in tech, but in the worldwide media with their Willow chip that proves that, we have more computational power, and they're also getting better in quantum error correction. So now that, it's a big company again from the United States, the question is, where do we stand with Europe? We already started talking about what you're doing here, but can we compete here in Munich with global giants, and can we compete as a region? And if you look at Planck, you have Alex here, but the whole team, has a background in leading universities, Harvard, Berkeley, Oxford, but they choose Munich. So, most probably the most provocative question today is, if you go into quantum, why would it be Munich? And what gives you the belief that you can be attractive, yet that you can't beat it? Or if I take newest research, Alex, why are you here and you didn't move to the United States? So if we could, pick up that question.
Well, Munich is known since decades for a really vibrant ecosystem in terms of quantum computing. It has established the Munich Quantum Valley, one of the leading hubs in terms of quantum computing, supported very much by the Bavarian government and the state of Germany. And by talking to those people, also politicians, we had a strong feeling they are honestly interested and supportive to build quantum computers here in Bavaria. And it's this combination of academic excellence, of strong industry, and this robust government support, which for us was clear that this is the city to build quantum computers. So building on decades of research from a Nobel Prize winning institute like the Max Planck Institute of Quantum Optics, having first adopters of quantum use cases in the industry, and having institutions like the Leibniz Supercomputing Center, which help us putting quantum computers where they should be next to classical infrastructure in this very early stage. This made us believe that Munich is the right place to found Planck.
Perhaps I might dig a bit deeper, because you mentioned the Max Planck Institute. We spoke about the ecosystem, the Munich. Perhaps you could explain why it is also so important to have this whole ecosystem that you're working with, and that you would, for example, are a great example of a company that wouldn't just walk somewhere. You couldn't be transplanted. Now, that you couldn't be transplanted to the US or something because of a financing round.
Well, it's really the connection to the Max Planck Institute. We are building, you can say we are building on decades of fundamental research of this world-leading institution. We have an IP contract which allows us to transfer really the know-how at the Max Planck Institute into commercialization, into the market. This was extremely supportive from the Max Planck side, so this contract is also for the future, so whatever IP know-how will be generated within the Munich Quantum Valley in the next couple of years, we have exclusive rights to use it, to license it, and I think this is number one ingredient for a deep tech startup, and that's what we have here in Munich.
I think Steffi spoke about your role, and we hope that Planck is a very early example that, we really progress in this big effort of getting more groundbreaking research, into business with new sorts of cooperation agreements. But Dieter, may I also ask you, you will have been approached, you will have thought a lot about how to establish Munich really not only as a good, but as a leading center. How do you see this worldwide competition and the chances that we have here?
Well, first of all, Ann-Kristin, we are from different universities, yeah? and I think they play a major role in here because we also have the talent pool. And that's one of the things why all other nationalities are interested in our stuff and our experts that are here. Now, comparing that to what we are doing here to others with the Munich Quantum Valley and all these initiatives going on, I believe, and I'm really convinced, that in many aspects we are catching up. The latest announcement by Google, you mentioned it, we're getting closer. It's not bad news. It was really good to see that we are really right behind them. We also have more diversity. Just the technology that Planck is providing is something that Google is not even working on. So it's a different technology with different characteristics. And what I also think, we are ahead in some of the fields. And one of the aspects which I'm personally very interested in is this combination of quantum with traditional computing, the integration of quantum computers as an accelerator. I say this on stage, I believe we are world leading on that one. And I think there's other nationalities who really want to copy what we are doing here, and I'm really glad we're also taking that one ahead.
Could you elaborate a bit on that? Because it's so interesting, exactly, because it's a bridge to the future also,
Exactly. So the point is, and you mentioned the quantum is very good on some specific characteristics, some jobs, where it will outpace any supercomputer. But the supercomputer is still the best tool we have today for many and most of the different applications. So our approach here is not to build the standalone quantum computer, but to use the supercomputer and integrate it with quantum technology. So most of the task is done by the supercomputer, and it will be for a long time cheaper to do it on the supercomputer. And if the supercomputer comes to a point where the quantum advantage plays in and can really help the supercomputer to be quicker, we hand it over to the quantum accelerator, do the computation there, and hand the results back to it. And this integration, and I'm convinced here, I think the end of the decade is a good point. I think we are there. We have already demonstrated the first link between the supercomputer and the quantum computer. And this interaction works, and now we are waiting on the next systems to come.
Yeah, talking about waiting, Alex, you might comment on the computer you're building for the right now for the LZ.
Yeah, we are very proud that we have a project funded by the German government, a volume of around 20 million to put one of our quantum computers, concrete with 1,000 qubits, to the Leibniz Supercomputing Center. It's a project which started already 2023, and exactly as Dieter said, this combination of having quantum computers as accelerators next to a classical supercomputing infrastructure, that's where quantum computers, in my opinion, will play their major role in the next couple of years. And so for us, this is an extremely relevant and interesting also learning environment together with the Leibniz Supercomputing Center. There is so much from not only the hardware, but also the software layers above, how you split a problem between the classical infrastructure and the quantum infrastructure, which we learn together here. And this, I think, brings Munich, brings us really here in the pole position, and this will be copied many other places worldwide. I totally agree.
And it really shows the role of the state also, how important those orders are that have supported the development of Planck. And as you said, Dieter, I think that is a very important point for those who are not from Munich, that it's about the technical university that I'm from. It's from the Ludwig Maximilian, both of them world-leading universities. It's about the extra university infrastructure. It's about so many people working together as an ecosystem and coming together and working. And Planck has links to all of them because it needs every single one. Now, I hope you saw that we have a real chance here in Europe, in Munich, to be at the cutting edge of quantum technology, to develop something. We think of your computer and what you're doing. At the same time, there's always, you will need wind under your wings, to develop. There's always something that is important moving forward, also in this competition, not only with the United States and the big companies, but also within Europe for different reasons. Maybe, Dieter, if you had wishes about what would help you to support the ecosystem, to support this great development you already have, what would that be?
Well, the wishes is that we continue these successful collaborations and see how that works. But I think a much more important ingredient, and we have also just heard that with being too pessimistic, I think we should view quantum also as the glass is half full, not half empty. Yeah? We are getting there. We are really kind of filling this up, and we need this positive endeavor. And that's why I said that last time, Alex, when we met. Yeah? I said, I'm really proud of you taking Planck forward and doing that, because that's exactly the attitude we need. We can make progress. We've shown things where we can be ahead, and I think we need to really make sure that we have to push and continue pushing in that direction.
Thank you, Dieter. And before I hand to Alex, if I may just add, everything has worked so well together, but one wish is also that business will support more and be part of this ecosystem once yet, that it has developed into, a bit more forward out of science, as I said, from lab to business. Alex, you have the last word. What would be your wishes, for this system, to develop even, successfully and maybe even faster, because that is always the big question.
Yeah, very good question. I think Munich is already globally at the forefront with institutions like the Leibniz Supercomputing Center, the research, you mentioned it, but also in terms of supplier, we have an extremely strong laser and photonics industry supporting this ecosystem. And
you might say how long it took to develop that industry. That is very interesting, because you always live on the shoulders of other technologies.
Exactly. I mean, we are building now on technology which is developed since 20 or 30 years here in Munich. Those were all spin-outs from the local universities, which now not only us, but supplying all our competitors in the US and having them as strategic partners here in Munich. This is very, very important for us. So my wishes for the future, I think we are already on a very good track. I think we have to become even better on talent. We have an extremely strong talent pool here in Munich, but we have to make Germany, Munich, Europe, the #1 go-to place when it comes to quantum computing, to also to retain the talent. At the moment, we are exporting also the talent. The second one, you just mentioned it, this closer connection between industry and quantum research. So I think industry, which is extremely strong in Bavaria and Germany in general, has to be incorporated much closer in institutions like the Munich Quantum Valley, or the initiative we haven't talked about the German Aerospace Center. We really have here strong industry which already made the first steps, which are early adopters, and incorporating them and making sure we are on the right track to also realize business value from them with whatever we are doing. And the third wish is really long-term and stable funding situations. So I think what Germany really did great, also Bavaria, is acting as a first customer. The German government bought now quantum computers for us with a volume of more than 50 million. This definitely has to continue. As I said in the very beginning, to close that building quantum computers is a mission to Mars. So it's for us very crucially that this funding perspective is robust over the next couple of years, over the next decades, to be successful.
So that was a great wish, and I hope we're back in 3 or 4 years, or 5 years, so we're going to see this, but in a foreseeable future, showing exactly these cases, running on computers here and solving problems. Thank you so much for having listened. Thank you.